Chapter 94. The fat man glanced at Chris before placing a simple wooden box onto the round table. Inside the box was a crimson-red jade, seemingly an ancient treasure. As soon as the box was opened, everyone present felt as though the lobby had been filled with a hint of warm energy. Everyone's eyes lit up. Faria turned to Tony. "Uncle, what do you think?" Tony stared at it and nodded. "I think it's the real thing. It seems to be the bloody jade from the Zhou dynasty. It also appears to have been blessed by a very powerful monk." Faria nodded and then turned to Alex. "What do you think, Mr. Anderson?" Alex, on the other hand, scowled in disgust. "It's a fake." Tony glowered at him. "You're just a youngster. Who gave you the right to lie through your teeth in front of this many people?" Tim David, the elderly man who was sitting next to Chris, opened his eyes and stared at the piece of jade. "May I hold it?" The fat man let out a cold laugh. "Mr. David, are you kidding me? Don't you understand the rules of an appraisal? Jade should never be touched, let alone this piece of bloody jade from the Zhou dynasty. Who would be the one to blame if it were to break?" Startled, Tim flinched. "Ah, pardon my recklessness." He then leaned toward the jade and scrutinized it. Closing his eyes once again, he nodded. "I can't say for sure that the jade is from the Zhou dynasty, but I can assure you that the rumors of it being able to regulate geomancy and calm souls is true." Upon hearing this sentence, everyone was fired up. To them, the history of this piece of jade was not significant. It was what it could do that mattered to them. Tony smiled. "Mr. David has quite a sharp eye, unlike those who are inexperienced and nothing but a sham." When she heard this, Faria couldn't help but feel slightly disappointed in Alex. He indeed seemed to be too young for such delicate work. Although he was quite skilled in restoring antiques, he was clearly far more inexperienced as compared to these old men. Alex decided not to interfere with this. It was clear that these people were willing to be scammed, and he didn't want to be nosy. The fat man then closed the lid of the box after the appraisal and smiled. "Well, since the jade has been appraised, isn't it time to bid for it?" Matthew immediately responded, "I'll bid 1 billion. 1,005,000, Chris proposed. The fat man had noticed that Faria had yet to make a bid, and so, he asked, "What about Miss Adair?" Realizing that Faria still had her doubts, Tony whispered into her ear. "Miss, this really is a rare treasure to find. This jade is worth around 4 billion. If you manage to get it within 2 billion, the benefits will outweigh its cost." Faria was almost persuaded, but then, she turned back to Alex. His expression was calm, almost as if he didn't have a care in the world, and this made her doubts arise again. Tony shot Alex a cold glare, knowing that Faria was under his influence, causing her to have yet to make a bid. Hence, he suggested, "Well, since Mr. Anderson mentioned that this jade was a fake, I'd like to know how he came to that conclusion. Let's see what you've got." He knew that if Alex tried to bluff his way through this, Faria would realize that he was just pretending and would then make her bid without further hesitation. The others murmured in dissatisfaction as well, "He's just a good-for-nothing brat, what would he know?" "Yeah, who gave him the right to bluff like that? If you guys aren't interested, don't waste our time." Facing everyone's insults, Alex merely stared at Tony in amusement. "Are you sure you would like me to explain?"